Hello and welcome to Podcast Heroes, episode 21.
21, the big 2-1. That means...
The week of no news.
Yeah, that's true. We do have kind of I guess we don't want to really say lame show, do we? But
Not a lame show, necessarily.
A different show.
Yeah. But not a...
it's an off-meta show.
Not one of those weeks where somebody dropped or some huge news came out. The Medic is going to be released before Artanis.
That was confirmed, which I'm kind of happy about because really, I mean, I think I'm going to like Medic a lot more than Artanis.
It's been a week since Rexar. My prediction is in 3 weeks from now, they'll drop Medic on PTR.
PTR. Let's hope they use PTR at least. I mean, of course, as you all know, if you listen to last week's podcast as well as just anything else, really, even pertaining to Heroes of the Storm, you know that Rexar did not go onto the PTR and had a lot of issues associated with it. So hopefully we see Medic on the PTR. Okay, my tablet's not working and I can't pull up Reddit right now. This is really bugging me.
Whatever will you do?
Well, I'm trying to pull up the Heroes of the Storm Reddit, see if there's anything fun to talk about on there.
Well, what I can say is I know what the free week is.
All right, well, let's talk about Free Week first. And to break down the structure of the show today, usually we do, like news, Free Week, what am I thinking? Like a map stats or a hero build or something like that. Yeah. And then we go into Watch Us Climb. And that's pretty much what we've kept up consistently for the past 20 episodes. But because there's not much to talk about today, at least, news-wise, map stats-wise, because... as Aaron pointed out earlier, Infernal Shrines, which he just played for the first time ever, literally 5 minutes ago.
If you were watching the stream, we played a game. I played on Rexar and Misha.
Uh-huh.
You were playing Nazebo. You were rocking Nazebo.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
One thing I saw that I liked is you ulted right after they capped a Merc camp, and your ult stuck around to finish the Mercs off while you ran to a different lane.
Right.
I liked that.
Nice.
I felt like that was the proper thing to do. But yeah, so instead of, talking about a map stats that, or, going into a Watch Us Climb, we're kind of scrapping all of that. We're just going to talk about Free Week. And then we're just kind of, talk about the state of the game right now. We do have a really important event coming up this weekend. The 19th and the 20th is the Americas Tournament. And so I believe it's whoever wins this, as well as the runner-up, gets to represent NA, or if the SEA team wins, or the Australian team wins, or the Latin America team wins, then they get to represent their areas. But essentially, those teams will be representing the NA regionals competition in the World Championship in November.
So big weekend in Las Vegas.
It's very important, right? Yeah. And I really wish I was able to even be there live. I would have absolutely just loved it. So we'll definitely be talking about that. Maybe some today, talking about what our potential meta picks, what we want to see certain pro players playing. I love Tempo Storm myself, as well as huge respect for C9 because they're amazing too. So I definitely have some opinions about what I want to see them playing. I don't know about you, Bentley. I know Aaron's, kind of treats esports the same way he treats regular sports. He sits at home and paints his, hordes. Your hordes models instead of watching it.
Press, hordes.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. They've been really cool.
I mean, but watching the pro players play, yeah, right.
Nice,
that's
I approve.
It's great entertainment. I mean, it's fun watching those guys get going with the high stakes involved. A bunch of teams, especially now that we're going to get the different metas from around the world playing. It's going to be really interesting.
And I mean, that's what'll be really fun to see. Just alone in the region, our regional area. I mean, no other regional tournament has multiple countries representing. You can say Europe does, obviously, but
But we're talking competitive play.
Yeah, no, it's like, and sure, it's okay, different. I guess the best way to say it is different Blizzard regions, not, or Blizzard countries. It's because Europe's all in one, NA's all in one, China, so on and so forth. But the NA regionals, like I was saying, does have a Latin America team, does have an Australian team, and does have an SEA team, because there just wasn't enough of a competition in order to build them all into one. So they got invited to our regionals. Look at that, America being inclusive yet again.
Wow.
How lame. No, I think it'll be really cool to just see from a regional perspective, like how we're able to compete on the international scene. MSI obviously happened. Tempo Storm played against the Korean team. I can't even remember who it was. Something black is all I remember. But I mean, and they got relatively spanked. But it was also the first time we had seen international competition, and now we get to see a little bit more, kind of warm up a little bit more until I believe it's like something like 45 days after the regional tournament is the World's Championship. So it's like they got about a month and a half in between the regionals and the Worlds. I mean, I almost wonder, do you think some teams are going to do boot camps in foreign countries? We see that often in Dota and League of Legends. League of Legends specifically, almost every single team in the world that's going to be competing at Worlds is in Korea right now playing.
Really?
Yeah. At least from NA, most of Europe, I know at least 2 of the European teams are over there. And I'm sure other teams are, except for maybe ones that can't quite afford it. But we see that, happening. Do you think there will be a boot camp like that?
I'm sure of it, but the thing is, it's extremely hard to actually practice pro play when the game isn't really set up to be that way. I mean, you can't actually have bans in a normal game. You can't.
You can do scrims, though.
Well, that's true, but it's still, they have to have a huge amount of planning involved just to get a practice game going properly. Right. So that's one thing that Blizzard will have to work on, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of me wonders, because I think NA can easily be considered as the second most competitive scene in Heroes of the Storm. Korea, number 1, because they will always be number 1 in any video game. Yeah. And then NA, I think, is number 2. Unlike, China or Europe or something like that with most other video games, like CSGO in Europe, China Dota 2.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The League of Legends, I think, is mostly an SEA thing after Korea. So, I wonder, will Heroes be a place that draws a lot more team to NA in order to, kind of do boot camps, or will, they stick with the traditional Korea? Will they do other Asian scenes or something like that? I'm intrigued to find out.
Yeah.
So,
I know definitely in the at least preliminary events, NA has had way more funding and attention than any international competitions that have gone on. They've flown in casters rather than just appointed people to be casting. Yeah. They flew in the people who were doing it that people recognized and liked.
Well, and that's very prevalent in NA. Europe didn't do that, which caused a lot of problems. And they're still doing a lot of their open tournaments, too. Mm-hmm. So I think they still have one more left. So we don't even know who all of their regional competitors are just yet.
And really, Blizzard is still just making it through their first year, proving that they can have a competitive scene. And then next year, maybe we'll see them, grow a little bit more overseas as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's they don't even have like season 1 happening right now in their game. It's still in preseason.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I swear, like if Valve had done this with Dota 2, if Riot had done this with League of Legends in their current state, if Blizzard was if those respective companies were handling their game at their current time with the way that Blizzard has been handling Heroes of the Storm, I'd be sorely disappointed. Yeah. I probably wouldn't even play the game anymore. You can listen to past podcasts about some of our grief that has been happening, and I mean they've kind of really fumbled it pretty hard.
I don't know. It's just such an awkward point right now in the game. It's like the road to BlizzCon, and then just I don't know, with the new release of Rexar not really being a I don't even know how to describe it.
Home run?
Yeah, exactly. Because we're not even seeing him picked a lot in any Hero League, or I haven't seen him at all, like during my games playing this week at all, and it's sad because most of the heroes that come out, brand new, like Leoric, Butcher, Johanna, we see them all the time now, and that's far from it from Rexar.
Absolutely, and it's just. I think it's growing pains. It's got to be growing pains. This is their first MOBA, and it's still an incredibly fun MOBA to play. I'm having issue with it competitively, just because me as a ranked player, it's like I kind of got shafted. I feel But then again, I did play a ranked game last night. My very first ranked game after getting placed, won easily, just because I'm, ranked 35, and I feel like I'm at least 10 ranks above that, earnings-wise. And, the team I was with was insane. We were playing on Battlefield of Eternity.
Nice.
My team was just the dream team. To me, the dream team for Battlefield of Eternity, with maybe exception of the specialist, but still, we had Gazlo as our specialist, which I know
That's
Aaron
pretty
would
good.
love. The only person I would say even better than Gazlo on that map is Zagara.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm perfectly happy with the Gazlo, especially good Gazlo. I was playing Malfurion, which I think
Wow.
is the best support on that map by far and away, just because of all the control he
I'm
offers.
surprised that you were playing Malfurion.
I know,
You're usually more of a in
yeah,
there kind of.
the warrior kind of person. No, I didn't get it. Somebody took the warrior before me. Our warrior was Leoric, though.
Only one?
Only one.
Wow.
And I was slightly tempted because Leoric was the very first pick, and I was like the third or fourth pick. So I was very tempted to try, two tank, just bust it out, because then I could let, the other two picks pick up as support. But I was like, you know what? All right, I'll just let it be. So we had, solo tank Leoric, and then we had KT and Jaina, so Song of Ice and Fire right there. And I mean, just in those tight corridors of Battlefield of Eternity, anyone who can lay down AoE anything is going to win the game. And I mean, we had Leoric with his Skeletal Swing, which does a huge cone AoE kind of attack. Jaina and KT, of course, AoE nation right there. Gazlo with his Time Bomb as well as Grab Bomb on top of, turrets. And then Malfurion with his roots. Which just keep everybody in place for your team to hit their AoE. So
Yeah, that sounds like a good team.
we destroyed them, and it was wonderful. I mean, I think I was telling Aaron, not a single structure took any damage on our side.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
we won every single Titan by at least 50%, if not more. It was just
We've already talked about how that's one of those snowbally maps.
It
where
is.
If you're gonna win, you know it pretty early, and there's not a lot the other team can do.
no, it's absolutely true. So
So how many points did you get?
well, I got 300 points.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is huge.
Wow.
It took me up from rank 35 to rank 33, and about halfway through 33 as is. So I was, kind of happy with that. But something that worries me is like, okay, so I won and I got a lot of points. It's like, all right, cool, that means good things. But what happens if I lose my next game? It's like, okay, maybe I'll only lose like 20, 30 points. Not that big of a deal. That's the kind of stuff I was losing before the reset. But then does that affect the amount of points I'll get on a win?
So
Yeah.
when you think about the algorithm for this game, and I tend to think about it from a development standpoint in how would I develop something like this because it's so complicated. And you look at other games, and I forget the name of the pretty typically accepted MMR model, but it has a lot to do with the total number of games played, which I both like and I don't like. It encourages you to play the game more, and as you play any game more, you're going to be getting better, but it also stops really talented players coming from other MOBAs from progressing really quickly, and sometimes rewards poorer players just for having played so many games.
Right.
So you see people with 5,000 games played up at rank 1, and then you see people with 2,000 games played up at rank 1, and to me that's an indicator of a talent discrepancy.
Right, because obviously the person with 2,000 games is probably more talented than the person with 5,000 games, just because they haven't had as many games to climb up there.
And a lot of it is, and you're saying like at rank 35 or wherever you were, it was kind of trashier teams, but I've really noticed from rank 50, from placement games, from rank 25, and around that area, I don't really notice a difference in my teams. It's kind of hit or miss. They're either communicative or they really don't want to talk at all. And when they're communicative, you're much more likely to win.
Oh yeah.
And when they're not, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And so it's getting them to be communicative, and then there's always it's that random roll of the dice. You get that person. If you don't pick top tier characters, I'm going to troll.
Right.
Yeah.
And that really puts the whole team on tilt automatically.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've always been of the philosophy, it's like, if you're not going to act like that in real life, why would you act like it on a video game?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, if you're going to be at least if you're going to be an asshole in Heroes, be an asshole in real life, because there's just no excuse to get on the internet and turn into a bully. It's silly and ridiculous. And
well, and you're there to play a game and,
have fun.
enjoy your,
Right.
exactly, enjoy your time, and it's just not the point.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
Okay.
that being said, how a little bit of how the algorithm works is, and I mentioned it before. So if you're rank 25 and you're playing against a rank 10 average team, so there might be a rank 1 and a rank 50, and then a couple rank 20s in there.
Uh-huh.
But the average of their team is about a 10. You're gonna get significantly more points if you beat them.
Yeah.
And then it puts you into this weird situation where if you queue with people who are much higher level than you, you're more likely to go against people who are higher level.
Yeah.
And so you're more likely to get more points
And
and
climb
escalate faster.
Yeah.
And that's what people do, and they talk about boosting, and people even pay for boosting.
Wow.
And I really wish that was a part of the algorithm, and I don't know the algorithm, it's not public knowledge, but it's an assumption of mine that that's a part of it.
Do you feel like they should try to mitigate boosting like League of Legends did, or
How did they do it?
So the way League did it was, originally it's like, okay, all these people are, all these heroes, specifically like Meteos from Cloud9. I know there was somebody from like Cognitive that was doing it, things like that. The way it worked originally was like somebody who was Diamond 1 and up could queue with somebody who's from Bronze, and then, they could essentially carry them, because, it's like these people are gods of the game, and they could go in there and just, win the game on their own, no matter who they're playing against. And so this Bronze 1 person would rise up in rank really quickly because they were always winning. The way League fixed it was that you could only duo queue with somebody who was within one tier of you. So if you were Silver, you could only duo queue with somebody who is Bronze or Gold. You couldn't duo queue with Plat, Diamond, or up, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I feel like that really helped mitigate it, because it then prevented the fact that somebody could do it. But there is also the other form of boosting where people just give out their account information to pro players and let pro players take them and play it that way. And obviously that's just next to impossible to enforce in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But do you think Blizzard can do something similar? Like maybe you have to be within 5, 7, 9 levels of each other?
That's interesting. I didn't know they did that. I haven't played League in a while. One good thing about the algorithm and the system for MMR is, and having it like that where you're kind of locked in, it kind of keeps you and your friend group at a friendly competitive level without anyone's expectations being to go exceedingly high, which I don't necessarily like, but I also I have fun with it. I'm able to have fun with it and enjoy escalating up to rank 25 or wherever
as
I'm
high
gonna
as you
end
can
up.
go.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, it just changes the way you're going to accomplish boosting. In my ideal world, everyone would just play and not boost and not care about this insignificant ranking.
If only it worked like that.
And, the rank 40s would accept, maybe I am rank 40, but I have fun playing this game.
But see, I mean, pre the great reset of, the competitive play on Heroes,
Oh, yeah, the great reset that wasn't a reset?
Well, yeah, but still messed up
Except
the game.
for me.
Yeah. I would queue with you guys, and you guys would be significantly higher in rank, and I
Right.
would get tons of points when we win, and you guys would get,
20.
probably less than half of what I got.
Right.
And, I mean, I don't know if that's fair. You could maybe I was boosting then, would that be
Yeah,
boosting?
that would be counted as boosting at that
see?
point. Of course, we're not on the level of Zuna, Dunk Train, and
No.
all
I
those
would
other
say
guys.
it isn't
but
boosting because we're still in the the lower 50%.
Well, but yeah, in all technical definition, we were boosting him.
Uh-huh.
But on the same hand, it's not like it was an unfair advantage that our team
I
had
think that
because
would've
we
been-
were beatable. It's
That
not
would have
like
been kind of one of those,
Yeah.
if you're within their tier limitations.
no, exactly. It's not like we were these pro players who are just insanely good at the game. Playing around in the 40s and like helping a kid out just for money. I think that's the important distinction there is like no money exchanged hands between us, if only it did. No, and no money exchanged between us, and we were playing for fun more than anything.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not boosting. Boosting is where it becomes a paid activity of one person trying to be at a higher rank than where they deserve to be. Whereas, it's like if Bentley was in our game and we lost, it's like, okay, we deserve to lose. If we won, we all deserve to win. It's not like, we...
Exactly.
And there comes a point when you have to make the decision, am I playing this game for the ranking, or am I playing this game to have fun with my friends? Because eventually you're going to, regardless how good all of us become, and, there is a chance that all of us will progress at exactly the same level. But if Billy starts taking the game really seriously,
Which I do.
I would not.
Sometimes.
I would not say that's true. How many games did you play this week?
No, okay, well, no, I mean...
How many games did you play in the last 3 weeks?
I've played one game in the last week, and I don't know how many I played in the last 3 weeks because it's a small
I
number.
would not say you take it super seriously, but if you did,
I used to, yeah.
yeah. But if you started to take it really seriously, you would eventually get to a point where it would hinder you to play with us if we weren't taking it as seriously as you.
Absolutely.
And so then you get to the point where, is it okay to have a Smurf account so that I can play with my friends? To which I always say no. I'm kind of anti-Smurf account. I think it just messes with new people. And then I've also heard, and I saw on the Reddit, bots are becoming a thing because the number of games played does have a large indicator on the people that you're playing with. And that leads into boosting. And so people are just doing the minimum they can with a bot to not get flagged. And now with the new reporting systems, there are methods for you to report things like that.
Right.
And you can email hacks@blizzard.com.
Is that HACKS at blizzard.com? Okay. Is it battle? Are you sure it's not battle.net?
You want to look it up?
Yeah, because there was a post about that.
Yeah.
Bots. Yeah, it's been a pretty big deal.
And so if you see a bot, or if you think that someone's botting, just report it. They're going to take care of it. But it's just a really touchy issue. It's just one of those, some people are doing this to be better than other people and not to progress and get better, but to be better.
Yeah. Well, let's take this whole punishment thing then, because I know last week we talked a little bit about the punishment system and how I feel like it's going to be ineffective, at least with the silencing of players. But do you guys feel like there should be a way for people to be notified if somebody they reported actually got punished? Like, what I'm thinking is, like, I'm in a game, somebody's clearly intentionally feeding, calling me slurs, calling me bad names, things like that, just meeting every qualification for harassment, and essentially making the game unenjoyable.
Yeah.
And so I go in and I report them. Do you think there should be a way for Blizzard, or do you think Blizzard, because obviously there would be a way, do you think Blizzard should come back to you and be like, hey, we saw your case, it's like, this is what happened. It looks like it was just a one-time thing with this player. We didn't punish them. We're sorry that happened to you, blah, blah, blah. Or do you think they should come in and say, hey, thanks for reporting this player. We've looked at it. He's had a lot of reports. It looks like he's kind of, toxic to the game. Here's what we did to him. Do you think that should happen? Because I personally would love to be able to see that.
I think it would be very gratifying. It makes me think of the Tribunal in League of Legends and how satisfying it was to look on your account and see, oh, I got him permabanned.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, I'm a terrible person. But then you read the things that you're saying.
Yeah, and you're like wow.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, this
permabanned.
person really needed a permaban.
I don't think it's necessary. I don't really see the action they're taking with their reporting, and it's all very new. I think they're still getting used to it.
Right.
I do think it would be a way for them to make us feel more invested.
And that's why I want to see it. It's not necessarily because I want to see these people punished. I just want to know something is happening. I'm perfectly okay if somebody has a one-off horrible, they're a dick in one game, but they're perfectly fine every other game. It's like, okay, that person probably shouldn't be punished. I'm not going to be happy about it because it's my game that they were like that to me. But overall, it's like they're a good player, they're a good person. Okay, fine, they don't get banned. I just want to know that it's like this person's not still out there being an incredibly toxic douchebag to brand new players or something, and he's still out there and doing this, and Blizzard essentially just ignored my report.
I would say that if they're gonna do it, they won't tell you the person's name. They probably won't tell you if they don't do anything, but they probably might interact with something like it pops up with a notification. One of your reports contributed to a resulting time ban of 24 hours. Thank you for your support.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
or even just an email saying, "Thank you for your submission. We'll begin an investigation on the hero,"
or something. Yeah,
exactly.
I just want to know that people are getting punished, because I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we aren't given that information at all. It's like, what's the point of having a reporting system if nothing's going to happen from it, or if we don't even think that something's going to happen? Because, and you go into that game and it's like, I know every single one of us and every single person out there has played in a game where you said, oh my god, I need to report this person, or it's like, I'm going to report you. You type that in chat and they come back, I don't care, I never get punished for this. So it's like they've had this behavior before and they're like, I'm invincible, I've never been banned before and I act like this all the time, I don't care what you do. And so it's like, I want to know those people are getting their just desserts, because those are the exact kind of people that should not be allowed to play this game.
I'm also curious to see, and I mentioned this last week, I'm curious to see how money plays into that. I think there's got to be 11-year-olds out there with mom's credit card that threw $100 on their Battle.net account, got a ton of skins, a ton of heroes, and they're out there being crazy toxic. It's not in Blizzard's best interests to ban the people making them that much money.
I have to disagree.
And I agree with your perspective.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they'll see it that way.
And that's on Blizzard. That's on their ethics and that's on their morality. If they're not willing to ban someone because they're getting more money, then we should go ahead and throw them in the GOP, let them become a part of this presidential race, because that's the exact kind of person that does that, is somebody who doesn't care about the morality and the representation of a face that they put out there. If Blizzard's like, well, this guy is a jerk, but he did pay us $100 this month on a free game, we'll let him slide this time. No, you need to ban those people. You already have that $100, so get over it. And it turns people away from the game.
I think that they need to introduce the same sort of system they had with World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Which is, I've paid into this game. Based on the tier levels with which you have paid, you have a threshold of tolerance.
I never experienced that in World of Warcraft.
I did. So my account was hacked, and you get basically X amount of times being hacked before they just say, sorry, we're not going to give you back your stuff.
Really?
Yep. But you could reach certain thresholds with which they would say, you're a valuable customer, we will award you more. And I don't necessarily think that means no penalties. I still think penalties, but I think maybe it would result in, instead of this time it's a 24-hour ban, next time 48, next time permaban, I think maybe it's 24, 48. After a while of time, that can reset, and then another 24, 48.
But to me, that perpetuates then a game all about pay to win, almost. Because it's saying, all right, you're a toxic person, but as long as you give us enough money, we'll let it slide in the long run. And it's just like, what's the point then at that area?
Well, I don't think that toxic players ever win. So I don't think they're at the high levels.
I disagree with you. Because, you look back at every other single competitive video game in the world, there has been stories of these toxic players who are playing at a high level that got banned from being able to play at a competitive level because of who they were as a person. Specifically, you look at Ocelot from Europe in League of Legends, and I'm only listing League of Legends because that's all I follow competitively outside of Heroes of the Storm. You look at I Will Dominate. He played for Dignitas Royale, got banned for years from being able to play in competitive play. They finally lifted that ban. He came back and he was a perfectly good person. season. And it's not because they were making money off of I Will Dominate. It's because they realized, okay, our punishment worked. We banned you from being able to play, and you could not compete competitively. That took money not out of our pocket. It took money out of your pocket. And that took enjoyment out of your pocket. And that took your ability to compete at the highest level out of your pocket. And you turned around. That's good. There's never once in any time ever for a video game, in my personal belief, should somebody be given preferential favor because they're willing to pay more money than I am.
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, I knew I was going to agree with your perspective,
right.
But I like to point out, the monetary perspective from the
devil's
company.
advocate are always good. I really can't see Blizzard being the kind of company that would be willing to do that, because they always seem to be perfectly fine. I've never had that experience in World of Warcraft. I definitely want to research it some, because if that's happening in WoW, that's ridiculous. Now, I can see it with hacks, because hacking isn't always your fault. If you're too stupid to put an authenticator on your account or something like that, that becomes your fault, but that's not something Blizzard can control. Hacking's different than toxicity. And if it's, if hacking's not your fault, if you take every step you can, your password isn't like password is taco, or, it's like something like that, then if you're taking every step you can outside of, short of, I can't even think of the best way to do it, but it's like if you're taking every single step you possibly can and you're still getting hacked, that's not your fault. So it's perfectly okay to me if Blizzard comes in and says, yeah, well, no, it's like you're fine. It's like you're a good customer, you've been loyal, you've been paying for this game for the past 5 years, we realize you're a good customer, we're going to give you everything back. This is not clearly a case of somebody's like hacking you for your own gain, because that doesn't happen.
And there are a lot of different Blizzard models. I think the only aspect of Heroes that's pay to win is hero comes out. Yes, you could have grinded all week long to get the 15k to get him upon release. But people who are able to just buy every hero upon release, or even in PTR and play them that week and then have them the day they release and play it in ranked, they're going to catch people off guard, particularly if they can play them well.
Right.
And that's really the only aspect there. But then I think of Hearthstone, which it's really not even an argument.
Yeah, dude.
It's pay to win,
Exactly.
or at
Absolutely.
least pay to play at a high level.
But it's a card game too. Every single card game in the world is like that.
Right.
That's a good point.
It's, I mean, they're all pay to win games. It's not like, sure, you can buy your hero the second it comes out, but I don't think that innately gives you an advantage. Good players are going to always be good players. Sure, some heroes once they drop will have a super advantage, but look at Rexar. Rexar is, relative to other champions that have come out broken, a piece of trash. Rexar is still a good champion, but I mean, you can get out there with. We were looking on Reddit earlier of pros perspectives on Rexar. Every single one of them said, he's all right, and you get Dunk Train, you get. Gosh, I can't even remember who else was on there, and I have it pulled up right in front of me. But you get these pro players to play on them. So you get Furry from Murloc Geniuses, you get Dunk Train, the captain of Cloud9, the second best team in the NA and top 5 in the world. You get Icona, I don't know, from Cognitive Gaming. You get these people on Rexar. Yeah, they'll beat us because we're terrible, but they're playing against other people at their level. They're gonna lose.
Well, I think you're talking about a very uncomparable level. When you're talking about the solo queue for 98% of players, the new champion is going to catch them off guard.
That's fair, but if you're playing a character you're comfortable on, I would go against Rexar on any of my top 3 champions any day of the week, and I feel like I would win, personally.
Well, that's a bad example. What about the day Johanna came out?
Well,
and everybody on the PTR had the advantage of...
Johanna didn't get released on the PTR.
So maybe they quick matched all day long that day. They took off work, and then they really got her mastered, and the next day all they did was play ranked Johanna.
But on the same hand, it's like I went in cold with Johanna. Very first game on Johanna was a ranked game, and people were like, oh my god, don't pick the new champion, don't play the new champion, you don't know how to play her. I went in there and I won the game pretty much for the team because of how indestructible Johanna was. And that's not a case of pay to win, that's a case of I found a champion that I'm incredibly comfortable on, who is relatively balanced in the meta. I mean, best tank. You can't call it Johanna balanced, but it's not like she came out and was like, okay, if I W you, you're gonna die.
But I think you're also underestimating the level at which people on the other team said, who the hell is this woman? and they did not know how to play against the Johanna like maybe people do after 2 weeks.
But on the same hand, my team doesn't know how to play with a Johanna.
That's a good point.
That's true. So what I'm saying is there is an advantage to being able to play right out the gate with a team.
To me, though, when people say pay to win, it's when
I didn't say pay to win.
No, and I thought that's what started this whole conversation. Personally,
No,
okay, well, then I'm not going to worry about it.
no, I was talking about advantages.
Oh, I'm fine with those advantages. I thought we were talking about pay to win and how stupid pay to win is, but that's fine. I'm good. Anyway,
so this week's free
30
week.
minutes later,
Right.
we
Well,
finally get
no,
some free
MOBAs
week.
are really in no way a pay to win.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting
But
to.
there are pay to catch the other team off guard.
And there are some MOBAs that do act as pay to win. There are some that you can buy better gear for your champion
Yeah.
with actual money and all that kind of
Aesthetics.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, not just aesthetics, but like actual stat upgrades in the
Yeah.
game, and that's when it becomes a pay to win game, not catching somebody off guard or something like that. So, and that's I guess where I got lost in translation with Aaron there. All right, so we promised we'd talk about free week 30 minutes
Yeah.
ago, and we're just now getting to it.
A
So-
little bit of news, at least we could probably mention it for some of the players
yeah, there
out
we
there.
go. All right, break it down.
So we got Tychus this week, Sonya, Arthas, ETC, Lily, Nazebo, and The Butcher.
The Butcher.
Yeah, what do you guys think here?
Aaron, what's your team?
I picked, surprise, surprise, Lily.
Oh yeah.
Lily is the third top pick, or top winning champion on Hot Slugs this week,
Yeah.
which is no surprise with how much she's been played.
Lately, absolutely.
So I picked Lily Nazebo, the second top winning champion.
Mm-hmm.
Butcher, Arthas, and Tychus.
Okay.
Interesting. I same concept there. Arthas, Nazebo, Butcher, and Lily. Great synergy. I might switch out Tychus for Sonya in this situation just because of Arthas's freeze, the kind of a stun in a way, on top of Butcher's stun and Nazebo's wall. I feel like Sonya has a lot of potential to bust out a lot of damage that she usually does not have that opportunity.
Plus, if she takes the leap of whatever the
Exactly.
ultimate is,
That guy's
it's
trapped.
more. Yeah.
That guy's trapped. I mean, that can melt a Johanna in seconds, I'm thinking.
And this is where I'm going to go crazy.
Oh.
'Cause I'm going to have fun with this one. Nazebo Lily, for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
Arthas, because he's a top-tier champion. And then ETC and Sonya.
Wow.
3 warrior right here. I mean, those 5 champions have so much lock. Well, okay, 4 of them have so much lockup, and then Lily's in there under the obligation that you need to support to win the game. Plus, Lily's good, so I think you dive in with all 4 of those champions, and then Lily cups of 1,000 jugs or 10,000 jugs, whatever it is, on top of you. You're not gonna die.
Keg of beer.
You're gonna.
I think that's what it is.
It's Chin. That's Chin. You're
You're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you have those 3 warriors who can just offer so much incredible crowd control, and they can just line them up so that Nazebo's just sitting there with his gargantuan on top of everybody, throwing down that R over and over again. That's so much AoE smash. It's unbelievable.
And I'm glad to see Arthas on free week because
Absolutely.
I feel like he doesn't get a lot of time to shine, but when he does, man, he is bright. Okay, he has a lot of opportunities to set up kills, and he's just like a second tier warrior. you know?
No. I totally
He's-
disagree with you.
he's
he is
God
the
tier.
number
He is
one
God tier.
in the Korean, which we've established as the number 1. He is their number 1 pick, number 1 win percentage.
He's. I mean, you got what, 4th tier, 3rd tier, 2nd tier, 1st tier, and then God tier. I put Arthas on God tier personally.
But
I think that
he can't tank though. The thing is, his role is to up against a Johanna, a Leoric combo. Those guys are playing their roles correctly, but Arthas needs another warrior there, if not 2 heals or some other kind of sustain to actually be a proper warrior. What do you guys think?
Agree to disagree here. I mean, Arthas is just so good right now.
He's good.
With his own self heal and death coil, he can deal insane amounts of damage with obliterate.
I think with the right build, he can definitely tank.
He can
particularly
he
if
can
you
be
sacrifice Syndragosa.
Okay.
That's stupid though. Army of Ghouls is so bad right now compared to Sindragosa that what you need in this case is you need an Uther, you need a Rhaegar on your team.
Yeah,
if you have Uther or Rhaegar on your team, you're perfectly fine as the solo tank on your team as Arthas, because you bust out that Sindragosa, and not only does it slow enemy champions and deal a lot of damage, but it locks up towers and keeps, and it prevents them from firing at you. That means you can go in and dive on top of the enemy team, even if they're behind enemy lines, and that gives you a great opportunity if you have, the divey champions that are good right now, with, all 3 melee assassins. Okay, I said 3, and now I want to make sure I can name them. Illidan, Kerrigan, and Zeratul, who are all top-tier picks right now. That means they can get in there and mess people up. Because you have that Sindragosa laid down. You have Uther and Rhaegar on your team, laying down coverage. Personally, if I had my choice, I would always pair Arthas with Leoric. Not because you need that second tank, but because those 2 kits go so well together.
And I agree with you on
destructive.
that.
I agree. I picked Sindragosa. But what we were saying was, in the situation where you don't have that clutch support, you don't have that second tank, there is still a method for you to be the primary tank.
But I don't feel like that makes you a primary tank. I feel like that gives you an avenue to cover your mistakes, which if you're going into a game thinking, okay, how do I survive team fights by healing myself, and then you're sacrificing the best ultimate that you can pick on that character, you're going in there with the expectation of losing. It's just like going into a game with, a champion, and you're like, all right, I know I need to pick, the worst ult. You go into a game with Rexar and you don't pick, because I know Rexar has that one ultimate that's really
Bloodlust?
good. No, that you're thinking Rhaegar. But yeah, let's take that as an example. Rhaegar has Bloodlust and Ancestral Healing.
Yeah.
And if you go into a game and you have no damage whatsoever, and so you're like, I need to take Bloodlust for us to win, it's at that moment you lose the game. It doesn't matter if you end up winning, you lost the game.
I don't agree.
I agree to disagree. I don't think we're going to be able to convince each other in the next 10 minutes here. But yeah, Sindragosa is one of the best ultimates in the game, so I love seeing Arthas. I forgot where we started this whole conversation.
It was just free week. How about this? Since you just played Infernal Shrines for the first time, what's a nice little review for your first impressions of Infernal Shrines?
Oh my god, the Arcane Punisher was ridiculous.
Right.
All of a sudden, he quad killed them.
Yeah.
And we weren't even there.
Right.
And they're so aggressive.
I did try out a new Rexar build. I went pretty much purely for the stuns. And it enabled some really cool stuff. But when I first saw the map, I thought, okay, one of those is Frost, one of those is Fire, one of those is Arcane. No, they just switch. Is it random?
It's random. In all my experience, you don't know which one's going to get activated first. You don't know what it'll be.
But
there's
you
no
do know what it'll be
order.
once it has spawned. Once
Right.
the timer is ticked
Yeah,
down.
because it changes like the color of the shrine to whatever is
And
the
I've
respective
heard
thing.
a lot of people avoiding red and blue, going only for Arcane.
And that's bad when that's a situation in a game where you're, making another objective more important than the other ones when they should all be on the same playing field.
And that is in Blizzard's court right now to balance that out. Arcane is far superior to the others. I can see the strategy where you would ignore those other camps or the other ones just because they don't deal as much damage. But I think then you risk snowballing the other team. I think anytime that you can fight... Now, of course, don't go in there and fight a stupid fight and then end up dying and giving the other team, the more thing anyways. If you have an opportunity to go push a lane because, 3 people on your team's dead and you're like, well, I can't go fight all 5 alone. Go push the lane, ignore it, let the, them get the Titan, and then... what was I thinking? Yeah, and just, roll from there. It's one of those maps, though, I really want to see, the spawn timers on those, if there is an order we've missed. Like, is the top shrine the one that always spawns first? It feels like it is, but I don't know for sure. And just things like that. It's like, that's what I really want to see.
And once there's a couple glitch fixes, we'll figure all that out for map stats.
And we will do a map stats, yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just they got some things to fix. They got some things to balance. So we don't want to, come out with the map stats right now and then, in a week they're like, oh, by the way, we're changing the map completely. So... All right, we got about, I'd say about 6 minutes before we really want to cut ourselves off here. I want to run through real quick. What are 3-4 champions that you guys really want to see played, or is there any specific type of comp you want to see played this week at the America Regionals?
Well, I'll go first here. I'm thinking we're gonna see the most mainstream meta you always see, and it hasn't really changed
At
that
least
much.
not since the last.
Yeah,
real.
and I'm thinking Song of Ice and Fire, or at least one of them, KT or Jaina for sure. There's really only
Taildos has dropped 3% in the last week.
Yeah, and I mean he's had multiple nerfs, but he's still amazing in gameplay, dude. He still can get those plays right, get those kills, so he's still viable. I'm thinking we're gonna see Uther, Rhaegar, or Malfurion as the supports. No surprise there. And then a lot of Leoric, and hopefully a lot of Zagara again, like last time. I was because I love Zagara, and watching someone play Zagara, not correctly, but uniquely, I guess, and that it's mesmerizing because the creep spread. There's a whole mini game you have with her trait, so it's fun. It's fun to watch and play specialists, especially.
All right. What about you? Any comp? Do you want to see Rexar played? Or what?
I don't anticipate seeing Rexar played. I think he's too glitchy.
Yeah.
Unless they come out with a fix and they're able to really practice him in their games fast.
I think Rexar is just not going to be allowed to be played, personally.
That could be.
Or no one wants to.
Or no one wants to play. Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see if Infernal Shrines is allowed to be played.
I doubt it.
I think it will be, but I don't think a lot of teams will pick it.
That's a good point.
I think we'll see the typical things of
I'd like
Tomb
to
of the
see...
Spider Queen in every single map, because that's always how it happens.
Yeah.
Sky Temple in most of them, probably.
Not a lot of mines, though.
Not a lot of mines, not a lot of BOE. It's just going to be the standard 3-lane maps that we all started with in the beta. None of the new maps, none of the, things like that. So
I'd like to see the triple specialist map.
Ooh.
I don't think that's going to happen.
We didn't think it was going to happen at other tournaments, and it did.
It happened in one tournament that we know of, and they failed so miserably.
You asked what I wanted to see.
I know, you're right. I don't think I'd hold your breath.
What about this? Triple Warrior.
I want to see Triple Warrior.
Because that seems a lot more viable with, Leoric and Johanna, a great comp.
And then throw in like an Arthas
or a Nubarak,
Sonya,
that would work.
Or maybe Rexar even. No, probably not.
3 warriors, 2 healers.
Yeah, exactly. There
with
we go.
Monk, I feel like that would work.
Yeah,
Monk and Tyrande.
Me personally, I just want to, I want to see a lot of melee assassins. I love watching these pro players bust out the melee assassins. Fan on Illidan, Zuna on Zeratul. Oh shoot, that guy from Murloc Geniuses or Cognitive, I can't remember. Jaximus, I know his name. I don't know what team he plays for, which is really embarrassing. I want to see Jaximus on Kerrigan. I want to see those 3 rock those 3 champions because they're so ungodly good at them. It's amazing to watch. Yeah. It just makes me want to go out there and like try those champions because I'm like, oh, they just won the game for their team. Let me see you play. I also really am interested to see what the international teams bring. Almost more than seeing the American teams, because I've seen all of these American teams play probably 3 times, in the 3 American Open, specifically Cloud9 and Tempo Storm.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. I've seen those 2 play a lot, so it's like, yeah, I know they're probably going to be the top 2, but I want to see how, I think one's called Relic, another's called, oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, actually. I need to look this up. But there's 3 international teams, and I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table, because they're the ones that are always the underdog. They're the ones that always come out with the craziest team comps, and they're the ones who always end up surprising you, because it's like, wait a second, you just won a game with 3 supports, a tank, and a specialist? Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So, those are always kind of the fun games, and I think that would be a lot of fun to see. So I'm really excited, specifically to see how SEA plays, because chances are they're just as competitive as China and Korea, and I think they're the only ones who will really give Tempo Storm and Cloud9 a run for their money. So that's just,
yeah,
I'm excited. So what is it? Check out heroesofthestorm.com/esports. They have a schedule up there. They have links to the streams, everything like that. This is a structured tournament. It's not going to be crazy like some of the opens were. We're going to see all of these teams play. I believe it's 5 teams from NA, plus the 3 other teams from the international scene. Top 2 teams go to BlizzCon as the representatives from this tournament. It's going to be great. It's going to be a blast. So tune in. Watch even just a couple of games from the, first round, even if you can.
Oh, yeah.
Just any chance to watch pro play is always a pleasure because it's a way to make yourself better without actually playing the game and without actually getting a lot of practice. Yeah. And the nice thing is, Heroes of the Storm, the games are so short. You can pop in, watch a couple of games, go outside, do some yard work for your mom when she insists on it, and you're sitting in the pajamas on a couch. This has happened to me often. And then you can come back and see some more games. And so it's just a great way to, it's not like League of Legends. It's not a full day commitment where, just watching one game takes up an hour of your life. You can get in, good 2.5 games in about an hour, and that's a blast. And of course, all the casters that are out there, Forecourt Jester, Gillyweed, oh god, now I'm going to national games, Kubi, and then Solid Jake. Those are the only 4. And then there's this new guy that just cast in the last Open. He was a blast to watch too. So shout out to those guys. They do a great job casting the tournament, and I'm just excited. I can't wait. So
cool.
I guess that concludes it for us this week.
I think we need to take us out in a really bizarre way. And all 3 of us at the same time.
Whoa.
I'm going to forget.
Here we go.
What to say, right? In fact, what do we say? It's okay. No, I got it.
No, you really should know. We've done 21 episodes. Here we go.
I've taken us out once, and I screwed it up that one time.
Thanks for listening to Podcast Heroes, where we podcast about heroes.
That was terrible.